Judgment and compassion, an exodus of the heart. In the beginning, they were shackled to bricks and fear, a chorus of sighs bent toward the brick's endless hum. The God of the unheard heard. Not with a whisper, but with a thunder that moved the air as if the world itself remembered what it means to be a slave. Judgment came first as a sharpening of the heart, the hardness of a ruler's grip, the muting of a people's songs, until a single cry rose above the towers of Egypt, enough. Child of the slave wind, you watch judgment where many faces. Pharaoh's throne becomes a mirror in which a stubborn heart sees only its own reflection until that mirror shatters. Plagues sweep through the land like a reckoning that would not be dismissed, a stern tutor who speaks the language of consequence. The Nile turns to blood, looms of darkness press in, the firstborn are kept awake by the ache of a nation's fear. Judgment, you might say, is the price of a heart that refuses to listen. And yet, in the same breath, compassion moves in. A promise is breathed into a dust-stung wind: I will not forget you. I will act for your release. I will stand between you and the oncoming night. Then comes the sea, a wall of water and wind that seems to judge the pursuer with a verdict of doom. The chariots hammer the horizon, and the people tremble in the dust of their own future. But the Lord does not abandon their breath. The sea parts at a word or a gesture, no heavy-handedness, but a door flung open by mercy. The same wind that once chilled sorrow now becomes a corridor of life. Judgment reappears here, not as a cruelty but as a turning of the page. The oppressor's march is halted by a God who will not let the enslavement have the last word. Compassion walks beside the water as it stands, and the people pass through on dry ground, eyes lifted, mouths finding a new song. There is a moment when the sea closes behind them and the desert opens ahead, and in that moment the people learn to eat bread that falls like rain from a night sky vault, the manna of morning, the sweet and stubborn gift that says, you are not forgotten, you are sustained. Judgment might have waited in the Red Sea's shadow to remind them of how quickly power can crumble, but compassion waits with a watchful tenderness. You did not make this journey alone. Water springs from a rock when thirst gnaws the lips of a nation, and the bread is not a privilege but a covenant. You shall live, you shall be a people, you shall be my place in a broken world. At Sinai, judgment reappears as law, not as threat but as order given to mercy, a moral architecture for a people who have learned the difference between fear and faith. The commandments are not merely prohibitions, they are the caretaking laws of a life meant to be shared. Honor, protect, welcome, remember, the heart of justice learning to stay near the margins where the vulnerable dwell. And compassion, in its most radical form, becomes visible in how strangers are treated, how the weary are tended, how the poor are upheld. Judgment without mercy would be ruinous, compassion without truth would be drift. The two hold hands in the wilderness, guiding a people toward a land promised not only by geography but by a way of living that makes a blessing possible for all. The land of promise is a horizon that invites the weary to keep walking, even when the route is not smooth, even when giants loom beyond the trees. It is a land where memory must learn to rejoice without ignoring the cost of crossing. The journey is not a canceling of the past. It is a translation of it into a future where sorrow has a place at the table and hope remembers the door through which it first entered. Judgment returns here as a guardrail against the old slavery's return. Compassion seeds rivers of generosity into a land that could stagnate in abundance. It is not enough to reach the border, one must bring a memory bright enough to light up the road for those who follow. And so the Exodus becomes more than a history of a people moving from oppression toward a homeland. It becomes a template for what it means to live under a God who both judges and draws near, Who exposes the heart's stubborn rooms and then refuses to abandon the inhabitants in the enduring night. Judgment holds the fear we must pass through, compassion holds the hands we must hold as we pass. The sea's rushing walls and the manna's quiet steadiness, the thunder at Sinai and the bread at dawn. These are not separate stories but a single narrative braided with care, a God who will not let a slave become a citizen of despair, and who will not let mercy become a veil for neglect. In the present moment, we still cross our own red seas, grief, injustice, betrayal, loneliness. We still taste the bread that falls from unseen skies and hear the call to neighbor and to stranger. Judgment can be a stern teacher, reminding us of the price of cruelty. Compassion can be a patient healer, teaching us the price of mercy. The Exodus asks us to carry both into the world, to stand against what breaks the human heart, and to offer what sustains it. It asks us to be people of memory and people of mercy, who honor the past by living a present that makes a path for future generations to walk with dignity. May we hear the cry of the enslaved and answer with action. May we witness judgment without becoming cynics, and may we practice compassion without becoming soft to truth. May the God who led through the sea and fed in the wilderness continue to lead us to a land not merely seen, but become a people defined by justice done and mercy poured out, a home where judgment and compassion walk together as brothers and sisters, as one exodus of the heart.